Welcome to the world's greatest minds, where the most successful, impactful, and creative game changers on the planet deliver their hardest-hitting advice in 30 minutes or less. Every guest is specifically handpicked, there's no paid placements allowed, and every conversation is completely authentic and entirely unscripted. Big ideas, raw conversations, and real impact. This is World's Greatest Minds, and the revolution of thought starts now. Today on World's Greatest Minds, we welcome a creator whose life embodies transformation in front of and behind the camera. Keenya Kelly went from a stressed out sales rep who couldn't hold a job to a video marketing strategist helping thousands of women break free from burnout and build powerful, profitable businesses. She's the force behind You Create It, one of the fastest growing shows on video marketing, and has helped entrepreneurs tap into short form content to turn their online presence into actual revenue regularly. Featured in outlets like Forbes, Wall Street Journal, CNN, and building a space for women of color, Keenya doesn't just teach video strategy, she crafts confidence, clarity, and community on screen and beyond. I'm so excited to have her. She's a member of the faculty at Driven Mastermind. She's spoken on stage a couple of times and wowed the whole audience. Keenya, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for being here. I'm so excited.
Yes, well, so first of all, when I saw your submission come through and I just looked at everything that you've done and the way that you frame your career, I think is so humble, given especially where it is. I mean, you're at the absolute pinnacle as far as I'm concerned, especially in the social realm. That distance traveled has to feel so jarring.
Yeah, it feels very surreal. I have these moments in the morning when I'm praying and I'm like, how did I get here? But I'm also like, I know how I got here. I worked my A off to get here, you know?
Yeah. So talk to me a little bit about that. You started as a sales rep, and then when did you decide, you know what, I'm going to start? And was it video marketing? Did you start it on Instagram? Did you segue to TikTok? Like, what was the beginning? What's the genesis story?
Yeah, so my big story is I got started in network marketing. That's something Perry and I were talking about. I was in a company called Prepaid Legal. I got recruited when I was in college, and I got recruited into this network marketing company. And I didn't know much about business or how much money people could make, but I ended up with a really good mentor in that company. And I ended up becoming this sensation, in the company. I was featured in Success from Home magazine. But the craziest moment of that journey was for some reason, they asked me to speak at the convention. So
Mm.
Eric Worre, the founder of GoPro, he was actually leading the segment, and he brings me on and they're like, you got 2 minutes. And I said, okay, fine. I spoke for 2 minutes and people went crazy. It was so crazy. He couldn't keep going. They had to let me come back on stage.
Stop
And
it.
it
No
was
way.
like, that was a moment where I said, I've got something and I don't know what this something is. And that's kind of put me into entrepreneurship when I realized the amount of money people could make and like the gifts that I guess that I had. So I did a lot of my life in network marketing, got back into a job, but it wasn't until 2016 when Periscope came out. And I was working for Sprint Corporate, but I was watching people on Periscope live streaming, selling stuff. And I was like, I don't know what they're doing, but I want to
Mm.
do it. So I just kind of got on Periscope and just started teaching. And that's when people wanted me to coach them. So I was on Facebook and Periscope at that time.
So I'm looking at your website right now, which, by the way, if you haven't heard of Keenya Kelly, number one, you're probably living under a rock. Number two, go Google her, because your online presence, I think, is the absolute gold standard.
Thank you.
And what I love most about it is your authenticity. So if you don't mind me bringing it up, because you put it out there,
Go ahead.
but
It's
I'm looking
fine.
at an article called The $400,000 Divorce. Talk to me a little bit about like how you share, why you share, like where did the inspiration for that post come from?
Yeah. So, okay, what happened with that is that I obviously me and my ex-husband got divorced, we were broke. So I didn't take anything from him. But when I ended up getting into TikTok, I started learning about content creation. I started learning about hooks and ways to get people's attention to your content. And I know that I made $400,000 18 months after I divorced him. I went from
Wow.
just whoosh. And so I called it the $400,000 divorce because I knew people would think that I took that money from him and that would make them watch my video. And so once they came into my sphere and realized, oh no, she made it, I knew that my audience would say, help me make it. Tell me how to do it.
I love that so much. And so the social platform of choice, I think where you're most known is TikTok.
Mhm.
Is that where you started, or did you end up there after trial and error?
Yeah, I ended up there. So I started on Periscope and Facebook with live streaming, and then I added Instagram Live. And what happened was I had a brand design agency where I was designing websites and logos. And I was so annoyed because, I was ready to do people's work, but it would take people 60 days to get back to me. And so I was just kind of praying for like a creative strategy because I'm somebody who prays. And at the beginning of 2020, I heard God tell me get on TikTok. And I was like, that's
Mm.
the devil. There's no way that I am hearing God tell me get on TikTok because nobody was talking about it. And I just didn't know much about it. But because I get all of my strategies through prayer, I spent all of 2020 just playing with the buttons, trying to figure out what was going on. And within 4 months, one of my videos went viral. It wasn't even a business video, but it clicked. Something is happening on this app, and I'm getting some heavenly insight into what's coming. And so I like put down everything else and went all in marketing myself on TikTok, and then everything changed. Then I decided to put down the agency and focus on teaching video marketing, TikTok, and Instagram.
So, if you don't mind, just real quick, crash course in video marketing. You've got whatever that it factor is.
Thanks.
No, no, it's not a compliment, it's an accusation. I'm gonna throw a grenade at you, okay? Of course it's easy for you. You've got tens of millions of likes and views and all that stuff because 'cause you're charismatic, you just turn the camera on, you go, like, you've got that effervescent personality. Talk
Thank
to
you.
the people that don't. How can we do it? Can we do it? Is it possible? Is it accessible? Like, the person listening to this right now that maybe doesn't have your charisma, how can
Mhm.
they have this level of success or something equivalent in their own industry?
Yeah. So the truth is, it's not about the charisma, even though when people experience me, they experience this like Tasmanian devil like moment with me. It's like that's not necessarily why people gravitate towards a person, right? I know people with millions of followers who are introverted and they are just themselves. So it's really
Yeah.
the message that someone is doing, it's the consistency, and it's in the way that they are, putting themselves out there. So, for example, I started a new account on TikTok 7 months ago of me being myself as a person to become an influencer, and I'm at 51,000 followers. However, I saw a girl who started her account a year ago. She is super awkward, super quirky, hair braces, just so awkward, 200,000 followers because it's not about the big personality. It's about people wanting to connect with a person and someone that they can connect with. So the average person, they think you've got to be extroverted, you've got to be charismatic, but the truth is that you're talking about human beings connecting with a human being, and they're looking for that
Mm.
human that they want to connect with.
So I'm looking at your TikTok profile and I see 517,000 followers.
That's my main one. That's my business one. I started a new one that's called Keenya Kelly Brand, and that's Kenya as an influencer, talking about dating for skincare, menopause. But that one you're looking at is me teaching social media.
Okay, why have 2? Is it a dilution in the brand? Does that make it harder, or is there a strategy there?
So what happened was I kept trying to be more of myself on that big account, and because
Mhm.
I had branded myself as a video marketing social media strategist, they were not interested in my me content, and so I was losing thousands of followers. And I think because I if I was starting it all over again, I would have put it all together on one account, but I didn't do that. For like 4 years, I just focused on social, so people just want me for social media. And so I said,
Mm,
okay, since they're already telling me they're not interested in that side, I still want to be her. So I'm gonna create a separate account so I can be her and I can make money from both.
that's a really interesting point. I love the "if I could go back" because that's one of the questions that I ask, like,
Yeah.
talk to me about the mistakes. If somebody's starting off right now, I'm curious, do you have I know you said you started on Periscope, which, by the way, I'd heard of but never touched, and then it sounds like TikTok is where things really took off for you. If I wanted to start right now today, is there a platform of choice, or is it just whatever I'm most comfortable with?
It's definitely what you're most comfortable with and what your intended goal is. So a lot of the clients that I'm working with, many of them they're thought leaders and they're not used to being on video. And so I'm starting them on YouTube, right? Getting them comfortable with creating 20-minute long form videos and then teaching them how to film one or two short videos when they finish their episodes. But if someone
Mm.
says, "No, I want the viral maker, which one of them is going to make me explode the fastest?" TikTok is that one because the engagement behavior of a person on TikTok is so much higher. Like the amount of times people just hit follow, like, and comment and share is like 100 times that of an Instagram. Now, I will say that if you're talking about which one is going to make you the most money the fastest, it's probably going to be Facebook and Instagram because people are already used to buying on that place. But it just depends on your goal. So if somebody asks me, I'm trying to go viral, where do I go? TikTok is the place. But I tell a person, don't just go to TikTok. You got to repurpose all that content. For example, I started my new account on TikTok, and I said, "I'm smart enough to know that people might be interested in that side of her." So I created a YouTube channel and I created a new Instagram account for that influencer account, and I use AI to just repurpose the videos to YouTube and to Instagram. Well, as of today, we've got over 1,000 subscribers on that YouTube channel, over 1,000 subscribers on the Instagram, and it's just repurposed content from that TikTok account.
Here's what's really interesting for me. First of all, that there's so many value bombs that I wanna dig into. 100 and almost 520,000 followers.
Crazy.
You're bigger than any regional news station in the country, and most of them combined. Like, your ability, your power to influence the world exceeds, any local politician, quite a few celebrities. It's there's something about it that really is kind of it's like a queen maker, right? It's like
Mhm.
you're influencing the social lexicon, the personality of the community, how people think, feel. And I don't think that we can overstate the importance of that. I actually still don't think that a lot of people really understand the value in this type of celebrity. Because if you're a musician or an actor, there's a disassociation. It's like, oh, I go to the movies to watch Brad Pitt, or I
Mhm.
go to the concert to listen to Beyonce, or turn on my radio. When somebody's following you socially, and I've watched enough of your videos to know, it's like they're in your room with you, and the level of connection is overwhelming, and then
Mhm.
your ability to move them is overwhelming, and so I think the code that you've cracked here for our listeners is so critically important. I believe very strongly. I'm teaching my children this right now. There are only 2 skills left in a post-AI world. The first one is using AI, and that's
Mhm.
an arbitrage game that has forced obsolescence. The second one is building authority. And the way that you're building authority right now, I'm so impressed with, and I'm so inspired by, and I'm so in awe of. And the power that you have is staggering. And I love what you said. This is what I want to dig into, because you offered us just such a massive value bomb. You're working with people and you're teaching them do long form content on YouTube first, because
Mhm.
that really is the most accessible. That's where a thought leader, if you know your subject matter, and you
Yes,
shouldn't be in business if you don't know your subject matter, you can sit down and talk about your business for 20 minutes, kind of at any point in the day, right? It's like, all right, just go through the FAQs with me. So you start with the long form. How
Mhm.
many of those do you do? And then how is it that you're teaching them to take long form and turn it into short form? Are there tips and tricks and strategies there?
For sure. So what I'm having them do, because most people, they're new to creating videos, so I like to make things that are complicated simple, right? So the first thing I have them do is come up with 12 topics. They already know their content pillars that we've helped them with, but like they're coming up with 12 topics and they're going, okay, topic number one, let me come up with 5 bullet points for that topic. And then they're going to set up that camera and they're going to film and talk. And they know they got 20 to 30 minutes and they got to hit their points in those 20 to 30 minutes. Once they finish that, before they stand up, they then grab their phone, right? And then they take each bullet point and they create one 30 to 45-second short video on that bullet point, right? So it's like they did that long form content. They're already in this flow. Now turn that phone on and go bullet point one, talk, 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 talk. Point number two, talk, 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 talk. Because yes, you can take a long form video and you can repurpose it into a short, 100%, right? But the long form content, we speak in long form, right? But short
Mhm.
form content, we speak in short form. So when I'm trying to train people how to do short, I go, do your long, now take a bullet point, talk for 45 seconds, stop, do the next one and stop. And it really starts to train our client how to go, okay, when I talk long, I do this. When I talk short, and I do this. Because they're already ready. The lights are on, they've got their lip gloss or balm on, they're ready. Film it right then and there, and then pass it on to the editor.
Man, God, I needed to hear this today. This is so funny. My whole team right now, we're just beating our heads against a wall, doing it the dumbest way. I create long form content, and Kenya, I can speck in the bushy babble. I can just go
Yeah,
and go
yeah.
and go and go and go. I can go for 7 hours, and then I hand it to them, and I'm like, make that short form, make me a reel, and I cannot
Mhm,
for the life of me figure out why my reels don't perform. And it's exactly what you're saying. All
mhm.
my reels feel like incomplete long form content, because that's what they are.
Correct.
Like, I don't speak, as you can tell with me as a horrible podcast host, like, man, I'm a verbal processor. I need to take the long way. So training yourself for the 40, well, how long should a reel be in your experience? What are the highest performing reels in terms of length?
So it really depends upon what's happening in the video. So if I'm actually teaching people something, a 1-minute video was great because I like because a lot of times I'll use like a dry erase board and I'll teach something, or I'll just have bullet points showing up on screen. So if I'm teaching, you want to do I would say at least 30 seconds when you're going to teach somebody something, but don't go longer than it needs to. So if I'm
Mm,
going to teach people how to take care of dry curly hair, I'm not going to teach you everything in that one video. Here's one way to take care of your dry, curly hair today. Bam, here's that one thing. Or if I'm going to give you three things, I'll say three things to take care of your dry, curly hair. Point number one, I talk. Point number two. And if it takes me 45 seconds, a minute to do that, that's fine. Just don't make a 30-second video a minute if it doesn't need to be. But it doesn't
Yeah,
have to
what
always be super short.
at what length is it no longer a reel or a short form video? Like, when will people not really engage with it past a certain point?
Again, it depends on the content. So right now, are you familiar with Kai Cenat?
No.
So Kai Cenat is one of the big Twitch streamers, and he's got this marathon of he's live every day for 30 days. And I've watched 4 or 5 minute videos on him on Instagram, on TikTok, on everywhere. So it really just depends on what the subject matter is. Cause it's like short video by definition is a video that's 1 minute or less, but people are used to watching longer videos. But I think once you get beyond the 3 minute mark, then it's considered a long video.
Yeah, and how many videos are you creating in order to stay relevant to this audience now that you've built it?
Yeah, so I'm doing about a video a day. When my social media team is really up on it, then we're doing about 2 videos a day. So I'm not doing a whole lot. I'm just making sure that what I do is valuable to the audience.
In your monetization strategy, I noticed on your website you have a course. How
Mhm.
is it that you make your money? Like, what's the needle mover?
Yeah, so we have like digital downloads. We have my automated course. We have a group course. I have a membership. I do a lot of public speaking. But then when you create on these platforms, they pay you. So TikTok has a creator rewards program, and they pay me through views on my 1 minute content. Brands reach out to me, and I create content working with brands. Like one brand paid me $50,000. I'll take that.
Really?
So yeah, one brand paid me $12,000 for a video that took me 30 minutes.
My good golly. How
Yeah,
do you
pretty funny.
choose which brands to take? Because there's a risk there, right? It's a balance of risks. You can take
Yeah.
the money, but then you dilute your brand.
Yeah, so I take the brand where I believe in them, right? So like I've done something with Riverside was great. I did something with QuickBooks. I've done things with TikTok. I won't do something with someone just to make money, right? Because it's like it's still who I am, and if it's my trust with my audience is on the line. So even if somebody offers me a significant amount of money, if it doesn't make sense, it's not happening. Like I had
Sure.
Lifetime reach out to me because they know about my divorce voice journey, and they wanted to do a show on me, but they wanted me to bring my ex on and his ex-girlfriends, and I'm like, "That dude know my
Oh,
Social Security number. I'm not bringing him on here. I'm not gonna mess with him and his life. No, I'm good."
wow. What an ask that one is. Good golly.
Yeah,
Those people have no
crazy.
shame, don't they?
0.
Talk to me about your greatest successes. What are you most proud of?
I think of 2 things. I'm most proud of the success that I'm having with TikTok. Like I was teaching TikTok, but TikTok didn't know that I existed. And I said, I'm gonna make them know that I exist. I have this like rule where I'm gonna show up loud but beautiful in a way where you can't deny me. And that's always like my rule. And so I was creating content and I was tagging them, I was sending them DMs and they weren't responding. And they all of a sudden, right around Halloween one year, they said, "We're looking for the face of our holiday campaign for TikTok for Business, and you're it." I was
No
I
way.
was everywhere. And it was because, first of all, I heard God, obeyed God, got on TikTok, and I started teaching it, and I used my strategies of getting their attention. But my second most rewarding is like how I've healed from my divorce. My divorce was terrible, but I've never ripped my ex-husband to shreds. Like I've just
Mm.
like he did what he did, and I can heal and move on, and I can inspire other people to move on and heal, you know?
So, hope this doesn't get too intrusive.
No, go ahead.
I hear God and I obey. What does God sound like? Like, help if I wanna know how to listen or hear God, is
Yeah.
there an SOP there? How do you get in touch with that part of yourself?
Yeah. So I would say one of the things is that I always tell people that God speaks to us. He's always talking, but we have to learn what is Him. And a lot of times people will say, "Something told me that's God," right? Because a person is
Uh,
acknowledging that this is not something that they know. Like I did not know get on TikTok. That was not in my wheelhouse. I'm 44 years old, right? But something said, do this thing. And so it's like hearing that little voice that's like, should I do that? Or maybe I shouldn't, or you have a dream at night and you know something that you should not know and you're like, where did that come from? I feel like that is when you're hearing God. But also sometimes I'm just in a room with people and you're saying something and I feel something so strongly and there's no way I could know or think or feel. And so then I say it to you and the person's like, how did you know that? And I know like, oh, when I have that feeling, that is God telling me something that I didn't know. And I said it and I know that's him.
there's the strong sense of intuition might also be something analogous to the voice of God.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Have you ever heard, like, words, like, really specific, details and/or sentences that just weren't yours, that just showed up in your head?
Yeah, all the time. Like, that the when I say that about get on TikTok, that was
Yeah.
one, right?
So that wasn't a feeling, that was a you heard "get on TikTok."
That was a yes. I was praying, I
Wow.
was 'cause COVID was happening, and I was praying, I was like, "God, I don't wanna lose my business, I don't know what to do," and I heard, "Get on TikTok," and I was like, "What? No, that's not like, that's not right," and then I kept hearing it, and then I was sleeping at night, and I got woke up in the middle of the night, and I kept hearing TikTok, 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 and I'm like, "I don't understand." And I said, "Stop trying to understand, just do. The worst thing that could happen is that you hear wrong and you're just on this kid app, and it's just the worst thing that could happen." And I watched like, this is not this is happening. And so I've learned to go, even when I hear the stupidest things, this is probably the right thing.
Yeah, and this is a big part of you and your personality. Do you
Yeah.
have a is your show You, Me, and Jesus? Is that the
Yeah, so I have a If You Created podcast, that is all about content creation, being a creator. But You, Me, and Jesus, that's me talking about me, my relationship with God, and just like leading people through that.
Yeah, and,
Yeah.
I mean, that's a lot to try to manage 2 podcasts. What's the frequency of each, and how are you doing that?
Yeah, so they're both YouTube. So I do a YouTube video on Sundays for You, Me, and Jesus, and I do a YouTube video on Mondays for If You Create It. So it's just creating. I just create one video a week, and then I take the audio and we turn it into a podcast.
That's great. If you don't mind, talk to me about your biggest failures. What are the things that you think our audience could really benefit from learning about?
Yeah. So my biggest failure is, I would say, my divorce, because I mean, we got divorced because he was cheating, but so it's like it's not like I didn't make it happen, but it still was like the biggest public kind of failure that I've ever like experienced. And it was the hardest thing I've ever dealt with. It took me 10 years to really recover through therapy and all this type of stuff. I'm still recovering in different ways. And then my second one would be what I did not know about money when I was in network marketing, because I was making good money in network marketing, but I didn't know about money. So I overspent. I did all types of stuff with my money. I lost my car, lost my apartment, and had to move back in with my sisters and her kids because I just didn't know a lot about managing money and budgets. And it was very, very, very humbling to like become a failure to everybody who was looking at you as an inspiration.
Isn't that it's so sad, like, because I started poor, and starting poor, you're just poor and poor is poor, and then I got a little money, and I, bought the house on the hill and had the idiot's car, and then, foreclosure and repossession later. That was so much worse.
Yes.
Even though the poor that I ended up after was, you know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
not any different, and having that fall from grace is so hard. How do you recover from that?
Yeah, it's really hard. I would say, like, I mean, it's eating humble pie for sure.
Mm,
Like, my divorce was very traumatizing, so mine was more so, let me go to therapy and get therapy, and I think I kinda hid out a little bit, kinda, sorta. I still built a public personality afterwards, but I didn't build it talking about the situation. But I also think that because I was in network marketing for so long, I had read so many books that there was stuff in me that kept me from tapping all the way out, because I had already read all this personal development. When I was going through the hardest times of my life, I still had these little anchors that said, "This is not the end." Like, there was this phrase that Tracy Lynn says, "If you can look up, you can get up." And like the
mm.
whole time when I was going through my divorce, I could hear Les Brown and Jim Rohn and Tracy. I could hear them talking to me because I was in chaos, but the thing that I had put in me was now lifting me up. So I would say to a person that is kind of like, how they say save money for the hard times. You gotta put things in your mind and in your heart, because those times are gonna come. And if you have those, when those times come, all that stuff is what's gonna come out and it's gonna save you. I didn't know it at the time, but that's what saved me. So like when I meet women who are like, "How did you heal from divorce?" And I'm like, "I'm not the average divorcee. I had hundreds of books already in me, so that when it broke me, it didn't take me out. Something was pulling me up." So if a person doesn't have all that, I say you can start that. Podcasts are out there, Audible's out there, the library's free to learn and grow.
This is so I what an extraordinary value bomb that is. I really love the concept that you would build something like intellectual and emotional equity ahead of time. It's like an insurance policy. Everything that you put
Yeah.
into your heart, your mind, your soul. And interestingly, I've always felt like the intake of information is physical. You're putting that in your body too, just like food.
Yeah.
And so often we wait to read those books until after we're
Mhm.
wounded, but to get out ahead of that and to start influencing yourself so that you're prepared. Because, Jordan Peterson says this, and I love the statement. He says, the flood is always coming.
Mhm.
just guaranteed, because that's just the way life works, something's gonna happen.
Yeah.
And so having that wherewithal to contend with it requires it's just like exercise. Who
Yeah.
are your favorite, like, if you were to lead somebody somewhere in preparation for the flood,
Mhm.
who should they listen to or who should they read? Who are the people that really carried you? I
Yeah.
heard Jim Rohn, I heard Les Brown.
Yeah. Yeah, Jim Rohn, Les Brown, Brian Tracy, those are the old school, like, network marketing
I was gonna
books.
say, you're going back. Yeah.
Yeah, 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 yeah. But definitely it has been John C. Maxwell. John C. Maxwell has been,
Okay.
like, my lifeline for, like, because he was the book that everybody had to read in network marketing, and so I've read so many books by John Maxwell because he's not just giving you leadership principles, but he's giving you life and biblical principles all the same time, you know? And so he literally was like a grandfather, for me. I didn't
Mm,
know it, but he was like a grandfather, father for me that like all of that stuff comes out. That's like, as we're talking, I can see little quotes from in his book, The 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership, like the law of E.F. Hutton. I can see all this different stuff because what got in me 10 years ago, 20 years ago almost.
yeah, I love that. That's great. What am I not asking you that I should be asking you? What would a smarter person ask you?
I don't know. What am I up to now? What am I looking forward to? What's on
Yeah,
the
well, I've
horizon?
got one of the world's greatest minds on my podcast. Like, I gotta pick that brain. So, like, what are you up to now? What do people ought to know about you?
Yeah. So what I'm up to now, I've got two main focuses. Okay. Probably three. My number one focus right now is just Kenya, right? Because Kenya can make money, build all this for other people. But I'm also like, let's just help Kenya with more of Kenya stuff. Let's just figure out what does she want? What does she need? Which brings me to my second point is I'm trying to find a man, right? I'm like, I don't care what race he is. He just got to like black girls and love Jesus, right? So I'm like focused on Kenya and finding, my man. So every time anybody asks me that question, I intentionally get them to ask me because I'm like, I want to tell everybody this is what I'm looking for. Bring me somebody, right? So that's like the second thing. And then the third thing is I'm trying to make more money in my business through automation because I'm like, once I meet that person, I don't want to be sitting behind a computer. I want to be
Mhm.
with them. I want to be helping with whatever their goals and dreams are that I'm supposed to be helping them with, whatever that looks like. If he already has kids, obviously I got to come and learn how to be with somebody and their kids because I don't have kids. So I'm trying to prepare for the life that I say that I want.
Yeah. Do you find that you're intimidating to men?
Yes, and I think that the wrong man, yes, because he would
Right.
say, "You're doing too much. I think you're doing too much." But I think a man who knows who he is and is going after what he's going after says, "That's my girl.
That's
Like
one.
that's the woman that's going to help me do this, and I want to give her everything I've got." Right. So a man who finds himself being intimidated, I'm like, okay, you supposed to be my homeboy. I'm supposed to help lift you up as my
Mm.
homeboy. Got it. That's fine. But the other men are just like, "Girl, you make me wanna run through a brick wall." That's my man.
Yeah. Well, you're so extraordinarily successful. In
Thank
my
you.
my at arm's length experience, I'm around a lot of very successful people. I run a
Mhm,
mastermind, and so that's the quintessential archetypal truth for very successful women is men have a hard time with that.
mhm,
And it really is, it's a minority of men that can, like, stand next to that and neither be big enough to kinda match it or allow themselves to be outshined.
mhm.
There's something kinda shameful about, you know,
Yeah,
the way that people perceive a powerful woman.
yeah. Well, I think it's because of lots of different reasons. One, maybe men have encountered women who they don't know how to, like, be a boss in their thing, but let him be a boss in the relationship. I think that
Mm.
some men may have encountered that or what have you. I have been that woman who was like, "Hold my purse," and now I'm like, "Okay, clearly that's not the right way to go." So, I
So
think that
funny.
some men have encountered, some of that. Maybe they had really domineering moms, that they felt
Mhm.
emasculated, or were in previous relationships. So I get it why they would feel that way. Because I meet men all the time who go, "Well, you're like, you want to be," and I have to tell them, this is what I do for work. I got to pay my bills. Unless someone else is paying my bills, I got to run my show. But when I'm with my man, I want him to run the show. When men actually have that conversation with me, they go, "Girl, I never would have guessed." But it's because
Mhm.
perception tells the story, but a person has to be willing to invest time and just have one conversation. Then they go, "You're not who I thought you were," you know?
Yeah. Well, I really appreciate how honest and transparent you are about that too. On your Instagram profile, that was the very first video right now in your feed. It's the whiteboard plan on getting me a man, and does that actually say in 3 steps?
Yeah, 3 steps to get my
Alright,
man. Yes.
And what were the 3 steps? Because I haven't watched the video yet.
Yeah, yeah. So the first one is to create content and tag my city. I was like, I'm gonna create
Okay.
content, talk about what I'm looking for, and tag my city. 'Cause if I
And where
tag
are you?
Houston,
Houston. Okay.
yes. I was like, if I tag my city, I'm more likely to reach men in my city. I'm like, I'll meet men anywhere, but yeah, obviously I live here. The second one is to comment on men's videos. I was like, let me find men who I find attractive, but also talk the talk that I'm interested in. I'm gonna comment on their videos. And I tell people that if you tag your city as a business, you're gonna reach your local market. If you comment on people's content, you're gonna reach your ideal person. And then the third one is launch a campaign. And I was like, I'm launching this campaign telling men, this is who I am. I'm 44. I'm single. As long as you love Jesus like black girls, you can holler at me. And then I tell, the audience that if they launch a campaign, they will be able to market themselves and their businesses. And so I use the strategies of teaching as a business owner, but also making men know that I exist.
I love that so much. That's so funny. And honestly, that's just a great model for business networking in general.
Yes.
You built something of a viral in-person networking community. You talked about it on stage. Can you give us what's the quick and dirty on that one?
Yeah. So when I moved back from Houston from San Diego, I was lonely. I don't have any coworkers. And so I was like, I'm going to use social media to help make friends. And so I created that new account on TikTok with the intention of helping me make friends. And I just kind of started talking about what I'm looking for. I want to make friends. And somebody told me, host a meetup. And because I'm a business owner, I was like, I'm gonna create a Google form, let people fill out this form so I can, just send them all one email. And I thought it would be 50 people that would sign up. And it turned into 3,000, then 10,000 people who were like in Houston, either transplants or just over 30 and trying to figure out how to make friends. And my honest and transparent vulnerability spoke to them. And it said, I feel exactly how you feel. You feel safe to me. I want to meet you. And it's been like, wow, just watching me just literally be who I am and watching how it's encouraging people, inspiring people. People are doing so much stuff together all because I said, I'm lonely and I want to make friends.
What a beautiful story. And that wasn't from the 520,000
No,
profile. That was from the smaller profile.
no. Like most people that are connected to that account in Houston have no idea about the other account. So people
Man,
I
that's
meet in
amazing.
person and they're like, oh my God, it's you. And I always think they're talking about me, the social media person. They're like, no, you girl, you're the friend lady. That's how they know me here. They don't
Ha!
know the other side.
You're the friend lady. So if you're listening to this, I think that's so inspiring. I mean, Kenya, to move 10,000 people in general is impressive,
Yeah.
but 10,000 people in a single geography and to do it without using what is your greatest business asset, this
Right.
amazing profile that you have, that's extraordinary. And I think it goes to show the prowess of your model, like what you're teaching.
Yeah.
And for me, your authenticity and your vulnerability.
Thank
Like
you.
you show up real and you show up and you offer things that are, hard to talk about, insightful,
Mhm.
and God, I just love the way you show up.
Thank you.
This has been so helpful for me. So thank you for being here.
Yeah.
Last words to you. Where do people find you? What's next for Keenya Kelly?
Yeah. So you guys can find me. Obviously, I'll be at Growth Hacking Live with a
Mhm.
team in 2 weeks in San Diego. But you can find me on all social medias under my name, Keenya Kelly, my website, KenyaKelly.com. And what's next for me is I'm trying to just talk to more people, whether it's online or in person, helping them make more money in their business, but becoming the best versions of themselves. So you can expect in the next 18 months where you're going to see me talk more about making money as a content creator, but also becoming the best version of yourself because I want to help people become wealthy, but whole. Right. So I'm like,
Mhm.
everybody's going to go to therapy. All my clients know about therapy. I want you to make a lot of money and to be a good whole person.
And we'll make sure to link to all of your assets in the show notes, website, of course, and then your social profiles. If you haven't seen Kenya online, she really is a masterclass in showing up real and authentic. And that's what I love about your content is it does feel so accessible. I don't feel
Yeah.
like you paid the production quality is very high.
Oh,
And
thanks.
it doesn't feel like you paid $1 billion to have a studio built in your house. You just
Nope.
got like a beautiful home and you set up a camera and you hit go. And I feel like I'm watching my friend just do
Yeah.
her thing, which is, it makes it so personal. So,
Hmm.
Kenya, thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Thanks for letting me share, like, authentically. I appreciate that.
I loved it. This conversation with Kenya Kelly reminded us that video isn't just a tool, it's a transformation engine. She showed us how clarity, courage, and creativity can convert screens into soulful connection and strategy into revenue. If this episode inspired you, share it with someone who's ready to build braver, build smarter, and build with video. Dive into her world at ifyoucreateit.com or tune into You, Me, and Jesus for soul care alongside strategy. Kenya, thank you for your unapologetic passion, your authentic energy, and for being a guide for creators who refuse to fade into the background Until next time, keep sharing, keep shining, keep creating. And you truly are one of the world's greatest minds. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
You've just heard another powerful episode on World's Greatest Minds. For links, resources, and full show notes from this episode, go to worldsgreatestminds.com, where you can also subscribe so you never miss another episode. Drop us a review because your feedback fuels the mission, and share this with somebody who's willing to buck the status quo. Most importantly, tell us who you think we should interview next. Nominate the people who you believe have the results, the track record, and the brilliance to truly qualify as one of the world's greatest minds. Join us weekly as we forge innovation in real time. This is World's Greatest Mind. The revolution of thought continues with you.